Hello there, I'm Dr. Higgins, world-renowned mortician. Now, if you're watching this video, you probably are wondering what happens to the muscles after a person dies. Which means if you're watching this video, you're probably a real weirdo. But that's none of my business. Let's take a look, shall we? Rigor mortis is the condition that muscles experience following death. It translates directly in Latin to stiffness of death and sets in approximately 4 hours following death and begins to fade between 48 and 72 hours after death. However, if the conditions that the body are left in are very warm, then this process is much faster, and so the rigor mortis will release its contractions much sooner, whereas if the body is in cold conditions, rigor mortis will be slower to set in and slower to release. The patterns of muscle contractions that can be seen during the process of rigor mortis are known as Nystein's law, where the contractions begin in the smaller muscles at the top of the body, such as around the eyes and face, and they slowly move down the body, reaching the torso and then the extremities and then the feet and hands. Rigor mortis is a result of the muscles in the body attempting to function as normal, even though the body itself isn't functioning. So because the person is dead, they aren't breathing, their blood isn't circulating, and so very little glucose, ATP, or oxygen are naturally reaching the muscles, which means that they have to rely on anaerobic processes. Now the bodies begin to contract, or the body's muscles begin to contract, but because anaerobic processes provide very little ATP, the muscles don't have enough ATP to cause the myosin heads to release, and so the muscles don't release. They remain contracted until the lactic acid builds up and essentially begins to break down the muscle. And as the muscle dissolves, then the process of decay begins in the body, and rigor mortis eventually releases. Now, for a mortician like myself, rigor mortis isn't really relevant. It's a little bit of an inconvenience. If you try and move the body while it's all scrunched up, it breaks bones. Families don't generally like that. But for forensics detectives, rigor mortis can be very helpful if the body is left in proper conditions to tell the place of death, the time of death, because you can tell how long the body's been dead based on the state of the muscles. You can also tell if the body has been moved. If muscles are broken, if joints are broken, then you know that someone has attempted to manipulate the position of the body. You also know if it has been moved from a different temperature based on the progression of rigor mortis. So it is very helpful for police and forensic pathologists. Well, I think that about wraps up everything you need to know about the muscles of dead guys. Keep an eye out for my next video where I'll be discussing the pros and cons of cremating your loved ones. Have a great night.